Welcome everyone to another edition of Willow's Weather Briefing. Today is Saturday, June 14th, 2025. Today we have a risk of severe thunderstorms across portions of the northern to central high plains. We also have a few risks of excessive rainfall over portions of the central to southern plains. That includes most of Oklahoma into Kansas. We also have a higher slight risk of excessive rainfall over here in the East Coast and for much of Virginia into North Carolina. We also have a dangerous heat wave ongoing in the southwest portions of the Sonoran Desert down here. Will reach above 110 degrees, and also portions of the Chihuahuan Desert down here will reach temperatures around or above 100 degrees. Upcoming, the severe weather sequence will continue on into the plains and portions of the Midwest into midweek next week. We also have this excessive rainfall risk over here in the east expanding over to West Virginia tomorrow, possibly maximizing in terms of flash flooding risk tomorrow. If you would like a briefer text-based briefing, please refer down to the description down below. Here is our current drought monitor map. The solid lines demarcate areas of greatest concern with drought. Here is our current watches and warnings. Of course, our excessive heat warning over here in the Sonoran Desert regions, where we expect temperatures to reach around or above 110 degrees. Excessive heat watches here in New Mexico, where we expect temperatures to reach around 100 degrees today. Sporadic flash flood warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings here in the central to southern plains associated with a convective system sort of conglomerated overnight and moved into these areas. Some flood watches here in eastern Virginia, central Pennsylvania, and portions of the Gulf Coast here associated with some ongoing. Here is our current surface map. Our main focus will be these two frontal boundaries here, one draped across the high plains into the central plains, and one draped across the central to southern plains and over here towards the east coast. These two will be associated with lift and moisture fluxes trying to make its way up to the north, bringing some training rainfall into both of these areas, possibly some severe thunderstorms, especially here in the high plains, northern to central high plains up here. Ongoing, these frontal regimes will sort of stay put mainly and will bring training rainfall to much of the same areas, especially in these regions over here in the east, where we'll get continual moisture flux into these regions and bring about some pretty significant flash flooding risk for Virginia and West Virginia over here. Frontal regimes will mainly stay the same. The only difference comes into fruition early next week when we get a sufficient low level response by midweek, and a cold front will move across the United States by mid to late week next week, which will give us the impetus of some severe weather here in the Midwest by midweek. A cold front will just sweep across the eastern United States by late week. Here's our current excessive rainfall outlook. Here we have two areas of slight risk, one of which is draped across here in southern Kansas to Oklahoma. We are mainly looking at 2 to 4 inches of rainfall, up to 2 inches per hour rainfall rates here. Pretty sporadic, since convection is supposed to be sporadic, but any areas of training convection could reach those 3 to 4 inches in. Over here on the east coast, we have again another area of 2 to 4 inches of expected rainfall over here, but that is mainly associated with more widespread convection, so more widespread totals, 2 to 4 inches expected over here. Here is day 2 excessive rainfall outlook. Here we have a slight risk over portions of the Ozark region into adjacent states such as Kansas and Oklahoma. This is again associated with some sporadic convection, some of which might train and bring about some higher totals around here. But our primary concern of excessive rainfall is going to be here in the East Coast and the Mid-Atlantic to the Central Appalachians over here in West Virginia. This will bring us pretty easily widespread 2 to 4 inches of rainfall rates. Perhaps areas with moist soils from today's rainfall will be sufficient enough for a higher risk area here in the Virginia, around the Richmond vicinity. Day 3, marginal risk of excessive rainfall associated with more upper level disturbances impinging on those frontal boundaries, which will give us more rainfall in. But day 4, on Tuesday, we start to get more of that low level response, more moisture flux into this area over here, mostly a lot of portions of Iowa into adjacent Nebraska here. In day 5, that frontal boundary will move its way east and bring us some rainfall over here in the Great Lakes. Here's our fire weather outlook. Elevated fire risk for a small portion of southern Washington into northern Oregon, and also portions of western Nevada. Day 2, the elevated fire risk maintains in western Nevada. Here is our day 1 convective outlook. Slight risk across portions of the northern to central high plains here, particularly in southeast Montana to the Nebraska, Colorado, and Kansas border. This is primarily for a wind and hail risk, possibly some significant giant hail in cities like Billings, Montana, Gillette, Wyoming, Sheridan, Wyoming, but broadly, mainly a damaging wind and large hail risk. Tornado risk, a few tornadoes, a tornado or two is possible around these areas, and even down here, northern Oklahoma and southern Kansas. Here is our day 2 severe weather outlook. Slight risk across eastern Montana into northwest Kansas. Basically the same as today, but drifted a little bit east. Primary risks include damaging wind and large hail, possibly giant hail here in eastern Montana into adjacent Dakotas, here in cities like Miles City, Montana, Glendive, Montana. Here's our day 3 outlook for portions of the northern plains into the upper Mississippi River Valley. It's primarily for, again, another damaging hit wind and large hail risk, but a few tornadoes are possible on this day as well. Then on day 4, that risk will shift towards the Central Plains region. Then on day 5, the cold front finally makes its way into the Midwest regions from areas such as southwestern Missouri up towards southern Michigan and the. Here is our heat risk. Heat begins to build over here in the southwest, particularly in the Sonoran Desert region. Over here, temperatures are expected to reach up to or over 110 degrees. Further east into the Chihuahuan Desert region here in southern New Mexico, far western Texas, we do expect temperatures to be a bit cooler, but still pretty warm at around 100 or over 100 degrees. This heat will continue across this region, although deplete a little bit by midweek, but start to spread towards the east. By midweek, we do expect temperatures to rise over here, continuing in the Chihuahuan Desert region, but also spreading to other regions of the southern plains where we'll see above average temperatures over there. By midweek, above average temperatures will continue to overspread this region of the United States, and we'll also see some heat risk over here along the eastern coastal plain into adjacent Piedmont regions, where we'll see temperatures above average over there, possibly 10 degrees above average areas of the eastern coastal plain into adjacent Piedmont region and other areas of the southeast. Heat will continue across the southwest and revamp around late week. Here is our extended range hazards. Of course, hazardous heat here in portions of the Sonoras and Chihuahua deserts. Severe weather risk over here in the plains and Midwest, and also widespread heavy rain associated with that cool frontal passage moving across the east in the extended range by mid to late. Here's our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, June 19th through 23rd. Above average for most of the United States, especially areas of the high plains and intermountain regions of the central and south. Also above average temperatures here in the southeast. Below average temperatures are expected here in the northwest region. Here's our 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook. Below average for much of the Basin Plateau, intermountain regions of the west, as well as portions of the central high plains. Above average for areas such as the Gulf Coast, especially the Texas area, so the northwest. Now, finally, taking a look at our HREF output to get a look at our storm timing. We have storms ongoing here in the central to southern plains that is going to move off to the southeast, but then storms will reinvigorate around the high plains around possibly 3 p.m. in Wyoming and invigorate a bit later on, about 5 p.m. And widespread convection is expected across the southeastern regions, which is why we expect some excessive rainfall, especially in areas over here in Virginia, where you see the greatest concentration of convection over there. That is going to be it for today's weather briefing. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to watch future weather briefings. And of course, if you want any specific information regarding your area, please refer to your local National Weather Service or broadcast meteorologists. Thank you and have a great day.